Hey guys, this is my WPL powered LDRC Unimog. Familiar sound, right? So it has a WPL 2-speed gearbox, WPL front and rear drive shaft, and also RES-V3 nestled behind that receiver bay at the back. Now let us get into the technical details. I'm using the original connector from the Unimog because it's a long wire. And the motor, I just desoldered the original motor and swap it with the WPL 370 motor because all these require long cable. They also just basically plug and play over here. On the board, the battery connector, the switch, the motor connector, they are the same as from WPL. This is the speaker and the light also from the original one. Just plug right onto the RES-V3. So this we can think about wiring the winch to the front and also the lightning system. So when you have a WPL 2-speed gearbox on the LDRC Unimog, the high speed will basically become a low speed gear of WPL. The low speed gear becomes even slower than the WPL low speed. This is because the additional gearing from the portal axle. We are on a high speed gear now. I go full throttle. Low speed gear. So this is low speed gear. And slow. So this is a RES-V3 mount I designed, which is adjustable towards the front and back. So this would help if you have a different length of aftermarket drive shaft. I'll share this 3D printed file on WPL and also Asia RCD port website. I have not installed this side accessories so that I can show you inner working. And to mount this, you may need other 3D printed part as well. Or maybe just secure it with a nut at the back. Yep, for the rear of the gearbox, you can use the original hole. For the front one, you gotta drill 1.5mm hole through the gearbox case so that you can use a 2mm screw on this. These are screw from the WPL. So now on low speed gear, it helps to improve the throttle modulation even further. And now the power is really what I want. A lot more power than before, than the stock setup. So the WPL 370 2-speed gearbox is so well tested. You see a lot of mosquito around here liking it. I think because of the dark color of the green, army green. High speed gear going up. Oh, there's shit at the side. The front, although is not fully fixed yet, so this is fully uncompressed position. If I press on it, it still gets stuck, but there is at least a little bit of spring movement now. But the sole will be at an odd angle. Let's do a really slow crawling on this bumpy surface. This is so nice. See, there isn't much jerking. It's really going through very well. Except that the suspension, they are not working. If it's on a C54KM, you could see the absorber doing its job, modulating the uneven surface. So with the great low speed throttle modulation from RES-V3, the 2-speed gearbox low gear ratio, plus the portal axle, it can crawl really slowly. Very slowly. Try to do a climb. Wow, it's doing it nicely. But we really gotta fix the front suspension to make it even better. And adding wheel weight to it, but the WPL one does not work here because of different wheels of inner wall actually, so the WPL wheel weight could not fit inside. So probably LDRC will release a metal wheel weight, or we have to do it our own way with lead. Let's try also the low speed modulation on a high speed gear. Try to give as little throttle as possible, so it's not as smooth as when you're on low gear. See, it just stops while maintaining the throttle. So give it a little bit of throttle up. So it got stuck a little bit. So you see, you can hear the throttle goes up, but the car is not moving. So for really low throttle modulation, you need it on low speed gear. Now comes to the drive shaft. The front is the D42 drive shaft, which you can purchase the D42 rear metal drive shaft upgrade, or steal from your existing D42 upgraded drive shaft. Or maybe you could try with the original plastic version of a D42 drive shaft. This outer and inner drive shaft can be purchased on the official store as well, and then you just pick up this drive shaft carb spring parts on the official store, or just get these extra pieces that you need through the 4x4 drive shaft pack. The rear would be using C44KM 3M rear drive shaft, which you can purchase from the official store as well, the whole piece of it. So for the rear, when it's fully compressed, the inner drive shaft is almost out of the outer drive shaft. Whereas the front is quite spot on. But after this, I'm going to try using the D-shaft drive shaft at the front, which is slightly longer. And then we're going to push the gearbox a bit to the back, so it's more close up over here. Oh yeah, another important thing, the WPL is using a 3mm output shaft from the gearbox, as well as the input gear as well. It's 3mm diameter shaft, but on the case of LDRC Unimog, this input gear is using a 4mm shaft. So I had to drill the drive shaft cuff of the WPL to 4mm. For the front on the axle, and for the rear on the axle side as well for the input gear. And you can see some marking over here as well, because I grip it with a plier and drill it down. Most likely you won't be perfectly 100% centered. Or as Lucas told me, you can buy this aftermarket drive shaft with different diameter on both ends, 3mm, 4mm, and then you can cut it to the proper length. I've used those drive shafts before and they are really not good, and it gets rusted pretty quickly. WPL one is more beefy, and I've not seen any rust issue on it yet because it's coated, right? So before this, it's sort of lacking power or lacking low end torque going through this very uneven surface with a lot of tiny T branches blocking its way. So now we are on low speed gear, and let's see if we can push through that tiny tree branch. We are on low speed gear on a very low throttle. Okay, we're gonna push it further. Nope, still not enough. Very sturdy tree. Let's go through this. So it's not the fault of the gearbox that these are really tough tree branch with some flexibility on it. So we have to go around it. Oh, really not able to go through? What? So you probably need some weight on the wheels to push it down the road. So it's wet now. So in the previous video you can see the tire was very grippy, but we are on a wet day today. It rained twice and I couldn't get it out this time. Ouch. So now we are on high speed gear. Come up, woo! Still holding very well. Woo! And another issue with the front is that, as you can see, the angle of the drive shaft is fine now. It's going downward towards the front, but once it's compressed, so it becomes like that. It's tilted upward. See, it's tilted upward, which is not right. So the front leaf spring suspension has to be fixed. So easy peasy with 370 motor compared to 260 before, where it was kind of suffering. If you are using low gear, that's auto drag brake. As soon as you let go of throttle, so it won't come down, it brake. The auto drag brake will be applied. On the front body, you're going to cut away a bit of plastic over here. This is where the bigger 370 motor has to go through. Battery, I'm still using the original one because I'm using their long battery cable, which has a different 3-pin connector. And I like that even on the receiver bay, there are hole for the main wires to go through, and then on this side, just so happened for the antenna to come out. So this is a fun project. If you know what you're doing, you can give it a try. So you can get a new Unimog on Asia RCD port and a RES-V3 and a 2-speed gearbox on the WPL official store. I'll see you there. Click the left thumbnail for latest video, or smash the subscribe button on the middle of the screen. So I'll see you on the next video. Bye!